Welcome to the Easton.Online podcast. I'm your host, Elliot Marshall. And what this podcast is here to do, it's here to help you gain strategies and tactics and tools that are going to help you grow in your martial arts business. If you have a martial arts school, a gym, this is one of my passions, is how we spread the message of how to really grow culture and business and some ways that we do it the best with our people, with our staff, with our clients. So I hope you enjoy. Give a listen. All right, another episode of Easton.Online. Jordan, nice coffee cup.
Thank you.
How's your coffee, man?
Thank you. I debowed this from a good friend of mine.
From a guy you
even
know.
Even though he's the big black guy, I debowed it.
How's the coffee? Did you get better coffee yet or no?
This is the last of the shitty coffee.
All right, good. Man, I'm so sad because once you go ahead.
I was saying it was a mistake. It was a mistake.
Once you told me how bad it was, that was the last time we saw each other in person. I have coffee for you at my house, but I just haven't seen you, right? But then mine and Alex's wife put the ixnay on the us doing jiu-jitsu together. So
yeah,
but no, I got coffee for you.
The right decision. Well, that's awesome. I'm probably going to make a trip to the store today.
Right.
An essential trip.
Yeah, it's an essential trip, man.
If
you're going to die of the vid, you can't be drinking shit coffee on the way out.
No, man. No. That would be terrible. Every day that you can get up is a gift, and you might as well celebrate that gift, and you don't want to be drinking shitty coffee on those days.
The first thing you should celebrate it with is coffee.
Good coffee.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, hold on. First, you should meditate, then you should have some gratitude, and then you should have some coffee.
I did. That was my morning in that order.
Good. All right, let's talk first. Let's talk Corona for you.
Okay.
This must have been I can't imagine what it was like for you because, man, you just opened a school.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you're just getting rocking and rolling, right? You're just kind of getting in your groove. And then now we're in a groove that no one in the history of martial arts schools has ever been in before.
Yeah, that happened.
So talk a little bit about that.
Well, we opened on January 13th. The Longmont, Easton.Online Academy did.
Oh, so we had 2 months exactly because we closed on Friday the 13th.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was 2 months exactly. Yeah, man. It's like getting kicked in the nuts. I don't know other way to put it.
Right.
It sucks at first. And, I had to come up with a way of looking at it that got me stoked to move forward. And I think ultimately what I settled on is, I went back to something I have a lot of experience with. It's like working on a project on the computer for a long period of time. You put everything you have into it, but then there's a power surge or a computer crash or your hard drive fails or something like that, and you lose all of your work. And you're like, fuck, and that really sucks. And the only way forward is you've just got to get back in there and you got to do it all over again. And once you finally accept that you have to do that, you get to do it better and faster than you did before. And so that's kind of has been what I've been thinking about and what I've been communicating to the members about and my team and saying man, I know we were just getting going, guys. I know it sucks for everybody because it doesn't just suck for me. Everybody I talk to, just as much as that place was starting to become, my third place, my home, my community, my people. For all of those members who joined on day one, and there was nearly 100 of them, it was becoming that for them as well. And so it was we all kind of collectively got kicked in the nuts.
Right.
Your equivalent.
Right. How has so I think one of the things that we've done very well so far with this Corona stuff with Easton is the communication piece. I feel like we've communicated very well with our members. How have you, as the GM? So I talked to Mike. You're the first GM that I've talked to here on Easton.Online post Corona, right? So what was what was the process? What were the processes like to communicate with the members and like not have them all, thanks, and we'll see you when this is all over, maybe. That cancel form.
Right, absolutely. Well, I mean, first and foremost, you said this earlier, this is an unprecedented event.
Mm-hmm.
This you have to dig pretty far back in history to come up with something analogous. And
there was no martial arts schools in America, probably.
No, not the last time that this happened. That's for sure. Not. I don't know that jiu-jitsu was even a thing the last time that this happened. That's right. For sure. But the process. I've been thinking a lot about what to do in this time and how to rise to the occasion. And I think I'm really fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of good people, a lot of good leaders who are far better than I, that I've been learning a lot from and continue to learn from. And I really think the key piece is what you just said. It's communication. Ian Lieberman from Denver, he had a really good idea where it was just call 5 members a day. So like one of the first things we did the first weeks that we closed down is we all just printed out a report by attendance. The people who had been coming the most were up at the top of the list. And, we just started going down the list, call 5 people a day. I don't talk to 5 people a day because not everybody picks up, but Monday through Friday, that's what I try and do. And I haven't gotten through everybody yet, but after a couple of weeks of doing that, I've probably talked to, a third of the members so far. And I try and reach out to my team once a week. Every member of the team, at least I need to talk to every single one of them at least once a week in some fashion, whether that's Voxer, a text message, a phone call, or whatever, just seeing how they're doing. And that's been a big difference. It's been a big difference for me. It's been a big difference for the members. But that being said, there's, everybody, a lot of people are suffering right now, just as how we had to close down and, we had to, we couldn't employ a lot of people when we closed down. That situation is not unique to Easton by any means. And a lot of people are going through that. And so as much as we're communicating with the members and we're asking them like, hey, let's try and prevent a tragedy of commons here. Like if everybody can stay on board, stay with us, we're going to make sure that the ship stays afloat and there's a ship here ready and waiting for you to come back when we can open up again and all this blows over. But some people, their ship sank and they're in a lifeboat and, they had to cancel or suspend. So.
Right. What would you say the percentage is of in Longmont of the people that canceled or suspended?
It's pretty much in lockstep with the rest of the company. I would say we're
like 20 to 30, somewhere in there.
It's between 20 to 30%. Yeah.
Right.
I was just about to say like maybe 25, 30%. Right. So,
okay. So, and that's just to be expected, right? Because if you get furloughed, you have to start saving, So, right. I was watching a podcast the other day that somebody said they had none, 340 members and no cancels. And I was like, how's that possible?
I saw that same thing the other day, actually, where they were talking about those numbers. I was actually really curious about that.
So, I just don't see it. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. Like, come on, man. Somebody had to get, like, 340. Like, where do you live? I mean, like, maybe if you live in, like, the tech industry, right, where they can just work from home now and nothing changes, then, yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking, too, was, I mean, there might be some surrounding factors there that lend itself to that situation happening. Like you said, like they might have a member base who's very affluent. Like my landlord who lives above me, I mean, he works for Google. Right. Like he's fine. He's been working from home for like 5-6 weeks. Like everybody at Google is working from home and it doesn't matter.
I think most of my neighbors, this hasn't touched at all as far as like their it's families, right? Most families in affluent neighborhoods, it probably hasn't touched because they just work from home. It's the age group it's the age that we go after.
Yeah, and it's anybody that's in the people industry, the service industry, like anywhere where it's like people have to come together.
Right.
You know, gyms, theaters, restaurants. I mean, all that stuff is really hurting. And I know a lot of our employees, you know, they weren't just working for us. They were probably also waiting tables, working at the bar, doing stuff like that. And when this shutdown happened, like, dang, you know,
everything shut down. Right.
right.
So, man, and what you have been able to do, especially, I don't know, I'll say this, you and Alex like fucking saved me in the beginning, you know, like it gave us, because the three of us, we just recorded, right? Like we recorded every day. We switched to virtual. I think, I don't know, I had like a 2-day fucking cry session, maybe, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, Jordan, Alex, let's go. Right? Like we got to record. This is our time, you know? And we probably recorded in the next 3 weeks. We probably recorded, I don't know, probably 15 days, wouldn't you say? Almost every day.
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, it would probably take us 2 days to record like a week's worth of videos, and between like striking and Muay Thai.
4 days because it was a day for the regular curriculums, the intermediate and the fundamentals, and then it was 1 day for gi advanced, and then 1 day for no gi advanced.
Oh yeah, so 2 to 3 days.
Right.
Yeah, and so we were trying to make like, I don't know, man, gosh. I mean, at first we were doing 5 days of content, so that was, 20 videos.
Right.
And then we reduced it down a little bit to where it was like 16 videos. So yeah, it was a lot of stuff, but no, I hear you. I mean, it kind of saved me too. It gave me something to focus on, and it gave me the energy to keep moving forward, because when it shut down, I was like, I don't know what to do. Where do I pour my energy? And I was it was a long couple of days waiting for you to call me, because I knew that call was coming. Like I knew we were going to have to do this. And that was my idea, was just like, oh man, we need to pivot. We need to do something. I'm ready to pour my energy into this. And then finally, when you called, it was like having that purpose, that goal gave me the energy to keep moving forward,
Right.
And so I think that's key, is for everybody during this time, whether you choose to make it a live time or dead time, in order for it to be a live time, like you really need to set some sort of agenda for yourself and head towards that. Because otherwise you're just kind of in the ocean of circumstance. If you have
a martial arts school, this can't be a dead time. Like unless you want to move on with your life. Right? Like if you just want to, if you are like packing it in and closing your doors and saying I'm going a different route, then cool, that's fine. But if you have a martial arts school, there's no way this can be a dead time.
No. I mean, honestly, I don't. I think you could say that for anybody. I mean, look, if you're closing up your doors and you're moving on, then you probably shouldn't have been in the business in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is there's two ways to look at this. I mean, it's difficult, but it's also a unique opportunity. I mean, I've never had more time to learn and grow.
Yeah.
This is an excellent time to be in the belly of the beast, so to speak, and to transform yourself and come out on the other side of this with something that you didn't have before.
I agree. You know what you're going to teach me how to do?
What?
You're going to teach me how to audio edit a podcast.
Are you going to start editing your own podcasts?
Well, dude, I'm like, so I already had 6 in the hole or 5 in the hole, but they're non-corona related, and now I've done 6 more already, and I have 4 more by Wednesday. So, I mean, I can't be talking about corona in August, man.
Gotcha.
Right? So I think I'm just going to put out more content.
Got it.
I'm just going to put out, like, I already started, and this is kind of what you're talking about. I just, on my own personal podcast, I just started running, right? Like every day something comes out on the Gospel of Fire, right? Like every single fucking day something comes out. So now it's just going to be more. Maybe it's going to be 2 a day. Maybe it's going to be an interview and I don't know. We'll see. So yeah. So after
awesome.
or whenever you edit this podcast, I want to see how you audio edit. So
Got it.
we're
Cool.
going to
We'll
do
screen
Zoom.
share.
We're
We'll
going to screen share. But yeah, so start for school owners, right? Like when you say learn something new, and I know we're like laughing about like my personal podcast here, but start a podcast for your students. Just for your students. Start a YouTube channel. Like put some time into it. Learn how to audio edit and video edit. I mean, it's not hard. Like when we're talking about the audio or the video editing that you have to do for a YouTube channel for your school, I mean, it doesn't have to be pretty, right?
No,
Like
it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't have to be Hollywood. That's for sure.
right. It just, I mean,
Yeah.
learn how to make a cut, learn how to make a fade if you have to cut in between, put an outro in, put an intro in, and be done.
Yeah, I mean the technology these days has gotten so accessible. I mean, you're really doing yourself a disservice if you don't put a little bit of time into learning some of the basics of these tools. I mean, I was thinking the other day how much, the accessibility of technology these days and social media, like how much credit. I feel like leading up to this pandemic, we were really ragging on social media and technology. It was almost like it was popular to be discussing about how bad it is for you, how much it's messing up your brain, constantly being on your phone all the time. And then it's like now we're all isolated, and the tools that are helping us stay connected are the very tools that we were all talking shit about right before this happened. And yeah, they're really accessible these days. Like you said, like a YouTube channel is a great way to start building an audience, building engagement between you and your students. And it can help out in a lot of ways. Like if somebody's searching for a martial arts school in your area and you've got a thriving YouTube channel, right? And you're tagging all of that content with your school's name and your location and what it's about. Well, YouTube's the number 3 search engine in the world. And so like building that content, that's going to help you generate more leads. It's going to help you grow
when
your
you
community,
open again.
grow your school. Exactly right. And so now's a really good time to be investing in all that.
Yeah, because what else do you have to do? If you're only making 5 phone calls a day and doing 1 Zoom class, it's 2 hours.
Right, exactly. Then you can start recording some techniques. You can start recording some ideas. And I've seen a lot of martial arts school owners do that, and I've actually had the opportunity to talk to a couple who hit us up and was asking us, what tools are you using? How are you putting this content together? We were fortunate enough to where we had kind of started on all this stuff, started putting together video content, the platforms, the YouTube channels, all that stuff before this had happened. Because, I mean, this had been a goal of ours before the pandemic happened. But when we shut down, we were like, oh, wow, okay, let's seize this opportunity. Let's really do it. But even if you didn't start before this happens, like, there's still plenty of time to pour yourself into this and really build yourself an asset that's going to pay dividends down the line.
I'm actually a little excited, like,
yeah.
It's not even on the jiu-jitsu side. We talked a little bit about it yesterday on the Muay Thai kickboxing side. I'm a little excited. This pandemic is going to crush it for us.
Awesome.
It really is. Like, and just because you have time to figure shit out, you have time to figure shit out, and you have time to like slow down a little bit. Like what we're going to do on the online side is going to be really great, and no one's doing it. No one's doing it. So
absolutely. And I mean, even internally, outside of like what we're doing for Easton on the online side and stuff like that, just working on the internal systems and operations. And I mean, this is so much opportunity to work on that stuff. I mean, every leadership meeting we have, and we have them once a week, I mean, we're constantly talking about all these ongoing projects, and sometimes it can kind of feel like they're progressing at this snail's pace because you're just slowly chipping away at them week after week. I mean, it's very similar to martial arts, right? But it's because running the day-to-day of a martial arts school, you don't have these huge chunks of time where you can really put big dents in projects. It's just a little bit better each day. And then now all of a sudden it's like, oh, we have all this time to focus on our systems and to get more organized. I mean, Mike he was already starting this, but all that, we launched not a completely new, but a new tool and a new system and a way of running all of our meetings company-wide. And it's made us a lot more efficient. And that would have not have happened as fast or as well had we not had the time to sit down and focus on that. And I say that, but I also know Mike has had a million other things going on behind the scenes that the rest of us don't have to deal with. But still, I think that's a good example of how we've taken advantage of this time.
I think the point that you're making here is everyone says they don't have any time to work on their business because they're working in their business. And that's a true thing. That's
yes.
We're not downplaying that. We all, even us as a big organization with a ton of employees and a ton of people that only work on the business, we still lag behind sometimes on those things because shit's got to get done. Well, there are no classes to teach. There are no people to sign up there, right? All you have right now is the time to make it better.
Absolutely.
Right? To work on the business. So don't waste your time here, right? I think that's the point we're making. Don't waste your time. I kind of want to shift, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And because we've talked because we know what the specials we've talked. I don't know what number Easton.Online is this.
Oh gosh, 18, 19, something like that.
So everyone has come down to the people, right? Like that. The special sauce of Easton is the people, and then their journey through martial arts and through everything, and then how they build their schools for you. So I just want to hear a little bit now. I want to shift it to your journey, to your journey through Easton. So, but I think it's very helpful because people get to see the similarities between all of the GMs a little bit, right? So I think this is a good thing. So where did your journey start with martial arts and Easton and everything?
Well, I would say my martial arts journey started when I was a kid. I think I got into Taekwondo when I was 8 or 9 years old. And I did that till I was 12 or 13 until my parents got a divorce. My parents got a divorce and then we moved. And then at the time, if they hadn't gotten divorced, I probably would have still continued with it. But I think I just lost a lot of motivation with all the life changes to do anything like that. I remember one day my mom asked me if we wanted to find a new martial arts school, and I was just like, nah, and she was like, did you lose interest? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. But the thing is I lied to all of my friends at the time about being a black belt. I quit Taekwondo a month, we moved a month before I was supposed to test for my black belt. And I never went back and got it. But all my friends, when we moved to a new place, they saw all these belts on my wall and everything like that. And I would tell them that I'm a black belt, and they would say, oh, where's your black belt? And I was like, oh, well, you're not supposed to display it, not supposed to put that on display. So I keep it locked away or something like that. And some of them questioned me until I think I got into a fight in the 7th grade, and I jump kicked some kid in the head and I knocked his tooth out. And so then everybody was like, oh yeah, he's a
shit. Oh shit, he's a ninja.
Yeah.
He's not lying.
That is the last fight I have been in. Actual.
So you're 1-0 MHB.
Yeah, I'm 1-0 since 7th grade. But and the whole reason I tell that is just because I don't know, when I was a little kid growing up, Ninja Turtles, The Karate Kid, I was born in 84. All that was really, really popular at the time. So from the time I was old enough to understand what a black belt was, I always wanted to be a black belt. So It was always in the back of my mind that one day I would come back to martial arts and start doing that again. And
where was this? North Carolina?
So this was, so I was born in Florida. lived there till I was about 11. Then we moved to Virginia for a
Virginia.
year, and then that's
Okay.
where my parents got a divorce, and then I moved to Georgia.
Okay.
So I
So
feel like
all
I
the
grew
South.
up in Georgia because all the South. I feel like I grew up in Georgia because that's where I still have friends,
Gotcha.
if that makes sense. Like that's
Right.
where
Right.
my roots are. Like
So
when
you
I
would say
say,
home is Georgia.
yeah, like I go back home, I've got people there. I've got friends, family. I don't have that anywhere else. My parents are still in North Carolina, but within the next couple of years, they're moving back to Georgia. So
Gotcha.
it all just makes sense. But
Well,
so somewhere around turning 30, which was almost 6 years ago.
well, that's a big
Um,
jump. Hold on. What happened? What happened between growing up and 30?
Got it. Okay. I thought we were just sticking to martial arts here. So
Yeah, we are, but so make this part short. If there's no
yeah.
martial arts, you
So
make
well,
this
I went
part
to
short.
so
But
in short, uh, I went to college in Evansville, Indiana. I was a theater major, and then after
that's where
graduating
my dad
college,
went.
Evansville, Indiana.
My dad went there for one semester and then had to leave.
No way.
Yeah, he got ran out.
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, man, nigger go home.
In Evansville, Indiana?
Oh yeah, all over his door for like a week. He would get it clean, and then he was like, "All right, maybe I should leave."
Wow.
Yeah.
Honestly, well, yeah, fuck it. I'm not surprised. That is. I'm sure that was a long time ago.
Oh, sick.
Not
So
that. Not that.
1948. So
Oh yeah. Okay.
19. Yeah. So he's born in 48. So we're talking 66, bro.
Yeah. Okay. There
Yeah.
you go.
We weren't even a thought yet.
Yeah, and that it's Evansville, Indiana. It's a strange place.
It's on the border of Kentucky, right? It's very close to
Mhm.
Kentucky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes south, and you get to Kentucky. So
Right. All right. So go ahead.
um,
Sorry.
no, anyway, so I went to school there. I was a theater major, and then after I got into climbing, rock climbing in college, and after graduating college, I decided to start a video production company that would um, be focused on making climbing videos. Like that was just my idea and my motivation at the time. And so actually took that production company pretty far. I did that for about 9 years. And around turning 30, I had been sedentary for like a few years. And so I wanted to get back into fitness. I wanted to get back into shape. Like I was working in my own company that was focused on creative commercial work in the outdoor industry. But those last few years, I had become so obsessed with work. I was a workaholic that I wasn't doing any of the activities which inspired me to start a company around it in the first place, right?
Right.
I'm sure a lot of martial arts school owners can probably relate to that trap. So around turning 30, I was just like, man, you're not getting any younger. You've always wanted to get back into martial arts. You've always wanted to get back into getting into shape again. And so I just Googled jiu-jitsu, and Easton was 10 minutes down the road in Boulder. And so I walked into Easton.
Word. Now, so the reason I wanted you to go over that your 20s is because that was such an important part, I think, of how it all happened for you, though. Like how you got to be the GM of Longmont, right?
Yeah.
Because your video skills are what made it happen. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Well, I think.
Well, not that what made it happen. That's the wrong way to say it. Our need for video, right, in Easton connected us, and then it was like, oh shit, hold on, let's connect with Jordan. And then right, and then it just grew from there. So your outside skills is what brought you to the GM spot in Longmont, along with obviously, you had to get good at jiu-jitsu, you had to do all these things, and like, so, but that's why I thought that your 20s was an important piece to have in there because.
Yeah, I certainly would not have been able to connect with you guys around an opportunity to where you guys had a need and I had a skill set that matched that need.
Right.
Like had I not gone through that video production company, and I developed a lot of skills in that time that served me well in my endeavors as a general manager. One of the things that Mike talks a lot about is You've either got to be like a black belt in the administrative side in running a business, or you've got to be a black belt in martial arts, right? And so when I came to Easton, having already run my own business, and when you run your own business, you have to wear a lot of different hats, right? You don't have the resources and the employees to delegate and compartmentalize all these different jobs. You have to do everything yourself.
Especially when you're starting it.
Especially when you're starting it. And so I had gotten really good at wearing all these different hats, from accounting to management to video production to developing websites and, a bunch of other things I could probably start pointing to. But the point is like I had all those skills, and then I started developing that passion for jiu-jitsu. And then I think that, and then also seeing opportunities where I could add value. I think that's really important. I started.
You were putting the bug in our ear too, right? I remember,
Right. Exactly. Especially when I started teaching, because, I was getting these emails with the curriculum videos, and I just noticed that, like, at the time, the curriculum videos, there was just like some file would be on a Google Drive here, some file would be on a YouTube channel from 8 years ago from here, and then this week a video would go out like 2 days late, or the wrong video would go out and nobody would know what they're supposed to teach that week and all that stuff. And I was just like, hey, I can help you guys, record some new videos, and we can put that together. And, I think that's when it really started. I think you and I had already recorded some videos before that, but that's when
our friendship started.
Exactly.
Right. That's when our friendship started.
Right. Exactly. So,
and then you got to take some trips with me.
Yeah. And those are,
we had some fun trips, right?
We've had some really good trips.
Those 2 trips were so much fun.
Yeah, I look forward to the next one.
I know it's going to be fun whenever this Corona shit ends.
Yeah, whenever it ends, man.
When Corey fights for the title, you're coming.
Hell yeah.
When Corey fights for the title, you're
wait.
coming. That's going to be cool, right? To capture all the behind the scenes.
It's super cool. That was really illuminating when I went on that trip, got to see the behind the scenes of a UFC fight.
So right before Longmont opened, we decided to do a vlog.
Yeah.
Right? Aren't you happy I'm not saying vlog anymore?
Awesome.
We decided to do a vlog of behind the scenes at a UFC fight, because what the UFC puts out is always so glamorous.
Yeah.
Right? They make it look like it's showbiz. It's not, right?
No, behind the scenes, it is not show business.
What did we do?
You sat around and did nothing.
For days.
You sit around, you do nothing. I mean, it's nerves, it's waiting, it's not show business. It's amplified. I realized right out of the gate, like all of those nerves and anxiety you feel on comp day, like going to a jiu-jitsu competition, it's just amplified for an entire week, before a UFC fight, because there's so much more going on. It's that much more that you have to deal with,
Well, there's so much more going on, but you're in a hotel. You're not at home.
Yeah. And right? You're in a hotel.
Yeah. That's right. What it is. Like if you were at home, it'd be way different.
Yeah. It's always a little bit more comfortable when you're in your element.
Right.
But when you're out of your element like that, it just adds a layer of discomfort that makes all of those things that much harder to manage.
Right. And then we're like the normalcy of like, I just go hang out at the gym right now. Well, there's no gym to go hang out at. I'd go do,
right.
It's like just a whole bunch of us, like either sitting in a lobby, talking shit, right?
Getting mistaken for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Boss called Steve Austin.
That was awesome. I still need to put that video out.
Okay. So let's say what happened real fast so people understand.
Yeah, sure.
So I was sitting in the lobby of a hotel in Anaheim. And I know this has nothing to do with Easton.Online, but it came up here, so you got to tell the backstory of it. And this kid, these 2 little Mexican kids come up to me, we're Mexican American, and they're like, one of them's like, you look like Steve Austin, and I was like, huh, and you were there with the camera, and I was talking to another friend, Brandon Gibson. And he was like, you look like Steve Austin. And I was like, well, who's that? He's like, he's a WWE champion. And I was like, okay. And I had no clue who he was. And then the kids just walk off, you know? And then they come back like 5 minutes later. And he's got another one of his cousins. He's like, doesn't he look like Boskov Steve Stoston? And we're like, what? We're like, dude, we asked his cousin, we're like, yo, dude, who's Boskov Steve Stoston? You know? And his cousin goes, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that's when we realized this kid just had a speech impediment. And we were like, oh, shit. And then I was like, man, I'm not Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was like, Stone Cold Steve Austin's white. I'm black. You know? And he's like, you're not black.
And then that was the that was just the tipping point right there. And the story could have ended if he had not said that.
Oh yeah, it would have been done. It would have been done. They would have just walked away.
Then you started like going through your phone to prove that you were black.
That I was black. I was like, look, I'm gonna get a picture of my dad. You know, and I start scrolling through my phone to get a picture of my dad. And Jordan's there with the camera the whole time, like vlogging this, you know, recording. And then they see a picture of me and Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah.
Because I met Mike Tyson. You know, I've met Mike Tyson at some fights. And they lost it. Right? Like, they absolutely lost it. We're in the middle of this packed hotel because it's right by Disneyland, right? It's across the street from Disneyland. So all these families, and they have a huge family. And then all of a sudden, they just start screaming in the hotel, he's famous! He's famous!
Right? Yeah.
And then the mom and the aunt are coming over and they're putting babies on my lap.
Dude, they all gathered for a picture around you, and then somebody brought a baby and just gave you a baby. And you're like, okay, I guess
and I'm just like, hey, I'm not famous. Like, you know, it was amazing.
They didn't care.
They didn't care.
Full disclosure, like you were telling them, I'm not who you think I am, and they didn't care. They're like, yes, you are.
No, they didn't know who I was. They just thought I was famous because there was a picture of me and Mike Tyson.
Right,
like, that was it.
Right, but you weren't pretending to be famous. You were just like, guys,
I'm not famous. You know? Hey, I'm not famous. Just in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
Still not famous.
Yeah, but there was no
there was no convincing.
They weren't hearing that.
No. That was one of the funniest things that I think is like we were awesome. All just, that was so funny. And then Lloyd, Super Agent Lloyd was there, right? And he was just like, oh my God.
Oh, I know. So, he was just like, great.
So man, it's been such an interesting ride for you though, right? Like, like you've gotten to do so much with Easton, and now you're running a school. Talk about some of the difficulties of running a school. Like, where have you struggled? Because you're new at this, right?
Yeah.
Like you're the newest GM.
Sure.
You've been GMing for 2 months, and now you're not,
that's
right?
Like no time. That's no time. I'm very much a white belt at being a GM.
And hold on, I'm going to add another question to this. What's it like to not be a black belt in jiu-jitsu and GM the school?
Got it. All right. So I'm going to try and answer that in 2 parts.
That was a lot of questions. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So I would say, I mean, there's a lot of little things that I think I struggled with in the beginning as a GM. But I would say if I could point to one key thing is, you know, running my own business for so long, we never really grew bigger than like 4 of us, right? And when you run a jiu-jitsu school, it's inherently a lot bigger than 4 people. And there's a lot more going on than like a small video production company. So I was used to wearing a lot of hats, and I still struggle with this. Used to wearing a lot of hats and just doing everything myself, right? And so I think the biggest struggle for me was learning how to, and I'm still learning how to do this. I by no means haven't mastered, but to delegate and elevate. You know, one of my struggles is I feel like I take on a lot of work because, you know, I want to be valuable for the people I work for. I want to be valuable for the community. I want to be valuable for the people around me, right? And if I can do all these things, then I'm creating a lot of value. And so shifting my mindset to being able to connect with people and inspire them to do things is also very, very valuable. And being able to delegate and give people opportunities to grow and then take all of those people's endeavors so that they come together for one single purpose, which is the purpose of the school. That's been a challenge for me because my inclination is like, oh, we need to hang heavy bags. Okay, well, I'm just going to go hang these really quick, right? No, somebody else can do this. I shouldn't be doing this, right?
I got you. I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, go for it.
It's because you did the dig with Erin Weed.
I did.
Right? Go check out. She's my homegirl, Erin. And your word was what?
It was worth, which was a difficult word for me to use to articulate it. But another word in that whole process that came out of it was a synonym, which was value.
Right.
And it's easier for me to articulate what we were getting at when I use the word value rather than worth.
And when we talk about our we talk about our word, what Erin does is she finds one word. It's called the dig. That is you. My word's power. Mm-hmm. You know, my word's power. I want to have my power. You know, I want to find my power, and I want everyone to discover theirs as well. You know,
right.
I think I'm going to help you find your power here. You know, just listening to you. You always want to add value, right? And what you just said was like, if you could do all these things, you could be adding value to the company.
Right.
Right. What's the company's goal? What's the vision of the company?
100 schools. Can
you run them all?
No.
So the best way that you could add value is to show someone else exactly how to do your skills that you already have.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
So if you can show someone how to hang the heavy bags and then how to teach the class and then how to run the front desk, if you could have 50 people that could GM a school, not just hang heavy bags, GM a school. If you could get there, now you've added real value.
I'm really glad you said that. I really appreciate that.
Right? So it's not you doing the work.
Right.
Now, the hard part of this is you have to watch them fuck it up. Right?
Yeah.
In the process of learning how to do it. But that's why you start small. That's why you start with hanging the heavy bags, because it's not that big of a deal if they fuck that up. Right? The school's going to be fine. And then as they do that well, now you move them on. Right? This is how you're going to add value. You're not going to add value by doing work.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's and that's, I think all of the little things that I've struggled with can probably be nested under that one big thing, you know, and it's tough because even as the new GM of a school, like I still do have to wear a lot of hats.
Of course.
And, you know, I was teaching 9 classes a week, doing the day-to-day, you know, managing a lot of people. You know, there's a lot going on, and, you know, and there will come a day where I'm going to have to let go of some of those things. And
if you do a good enough job with that school,
say what?
If you do a good enough job with that school,
True.
Like if you only keep the school at 100 people, you're never gonna have to let go of shit.
Right.
Right. But if you actually add value, then yes, you're going to have to. The hard part is it's scary, right? Because we don't know how to add the value when it's not so tangible. Right. When it's not like, oh, skill work, because that's how it always starts.
Right.
Right. Like I had that saying with my kids, I don't want you to work for your money. I want you to make your money work for you. Rule number 5. Well, the only way to start is by working for your money. Right. You have to start by working for your money.
You have to do it. Right.
That's the only way to get it. So the only way for you to add value in the beginning is to do work. Look at what I can do.
Exactly.
Right. But now it has to have this shift to look at what I can get others to do.
Exactly. And I mean, and I will say that, you know, it took me a while to understand that, and my understanding of that is still deepening and progressing even now. Like one of the things I've been doing with my time is I've been reading a lot. And that was actually something I came across, I think in the last book that I read, that, you know, it's just as valuable to be able to inspire people to create value. You know, you don't have to do it yourself. Getting other people to do it is just as valuable, actually more valuable. Because when you can get other people to do all these little things and then come together under one single purpose, you can accomplish so much more than any individual could doing it all themselves.
Dude, look how valuable, I'm the owner of the company, right?
Hmm.
Look how valuable it was for you to teach me how to video edit. Look how
Yeah.
much time that saved us. Look how
You
much more work we got done. We got
totally.
done, we can get done, and I'm not good at it, right? Like, but I can get it done,
Hmm.
for what we need. I'm not, no production company's hiring me,
Yeah, but you're
you know?
getting better at it
I'm
every
getting
time
better
you make a video,
every
right?
time I make a video, and it was good. Like, we put out lead magnets, but you
Yeah,
didn't have to do it,
right.
right? Because you were so busy doing this other stuff for us.
Hmm.
You added real value.
Right, and
That's what we're talking about here.
it's exactly what you said. I was able to show someone, teaching someone how to fish
Right.
rather than giving them fish.
Right.
You know, it's I mean, it's funny. Like I say all these things, and it seems so simple, and it seems so cliche because I've heard these things before. But I mean, there's truly a difference between knowing something and then it being a part of you. Just like a jujitsu technique. Like you might know how to do a triangle, but until you've internalized that technique, you're not truly effective with it.
And I think our ego gets in the way a little bit sometimes, but it's like, what if this person does
Yes.
it better than me, and then I'm
Yes.
not needed anymore?
Yeah. I'd be
Right. Like,
lying if I say that I didn't fall victim to that a lot.
well,
I think that's
yeah,
part of the struggle.
yeah.
I think
Who
that's,
doesn't?
yeah, well, some people seem to be more suited to not dealing with that than others, but I am not one of them. That's for sure.
Yeah. That for me, it's the wheelhouse of my insecurities.
Hmm.
That I won't be needed. Everyone will leave me, and then there I go. I'm gone. Then who's Elliot?
Right.
So that's my wheelhouse. But
Yeah.
we know one thing: the wheelhouse of your insecurity is where all of the magic lies.
Mm,
And,
like that.
everything, right? And everything you've done, the deep end of the shit, coronavirus right now, right? This is where the magic is going to lie for us. We don't know where it's going to be. We don't know how it's going to work itself out, but if we don't die from the vid, we're going to, this is where the magic is going to be. Even if I die or you die or one of us dies, Easton, the thing is going to get better.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
I can shift to that second question now. What's
yeah,
up
go.
being a black belt?
Yeah.
I was struggling so hard to keep that on my mind. Well, I think initially what I was worried about was not being able to be a leader as a purple belt. Starting an academy, I was like, is anybody going to respect me? Is anybody going to listen to anything I say? Is anybody going to follow me as a purple belt? And, like, I think once I just put that out of my mind and just didn't worry about it, I was just, like I said, we have a lot of good leaders in the company, and it's a lot of people that I can learn from. And Ian said something in one of his staff development courses that we do at Easton, where he said, leadership is essentially just a decision you make. And when he said that, I was getting ready to open Longmont, and I realized I was like, I don't have to worry about being a black belt. I can just decide that this is what I'm going to do, and I can just try to be, the highest. See, I'm like you. I'm trying to get away from these best, better, worse words. The most skilled version of myself that I can be at this, and try and lead through connection. Like, people aren't listening to me because I'm a black belt. They're influenced by me because I don't know how to articulate this.
Because of how you make them feel when you walk in that school.
Yeah. It's leading through connection. Yeah. I don't know how else to put it yet, as my understanding is growing and evolving here. But, it was what is actually tricky about not being a black belt is not really the leadership part, because all these struggles I'm talking about being a leader, like, they would be there regardless of whether I was a black belt or not, right? Like, thinking a black belt solves that problem means my understanding of what a leader is incomplete, because that would be leading from a place of authority, which is that never works out well in the long run.
Listen to me because I have power.
Right, exactly. And and history is littered with tales of people who ruled through only power, and they were always overthrown. It's the people who led with empathy and connection and by example who are going down in history as like the greatest leaders of all time. Like that's the way to do it. But what's tricky is like the school needs a black belt. And I think even as popular as jiu-jitsu is, black belts are actually kind of rare, and Easton probably has a lot of them compared to a lot of other jiu-jitsu schools, and so it was actually tricky to find a really good black belt instructor for the school, if that makes sense. That was difficult. And whereas other Easton schools where they've opened up and it's been a black belt opening that school, well, who's going to start out teaching that advanced class, that cultural compass for the school. It's going to be that general manager, that black belt. I couldn't do that. I can't do that. I'm not good enough at jiu-jitsu to be doing that yet. And so finding the person to fill that gap and finding the right person to fill that need, who was going to be on board and part of the team, and wasn't going to just insist on doing things their own way because they had that black belt around their waist. That was a little tricky. Like that was just, going back to what I was talking about before, being used to wearing so many different hats and being able to just, when there's a need, put that hat on and then do it yourself. That was one specific thing where it was just impossible for me to do it.
Right. You couldn't wear that hat.
Right. Exactly. And so finding that has been important. I think it's just really important. Like you need that high level jiu-jitsu in the school. And then furthermore, what is also tricky about it is continuing with my own journey. I'm just a purple belt, and it's very, very easy. And I've fallen victim to this before, and I know where it leads. I know the burnout that it creates. Like if I got 100% involved in the business of martial arts and the business of running the academy, and I fell off my own journey, then all of this has been for naught in my mind, right? But it's super hard because, after you've been at the academy for 8 or 9 hours, sometimes the last thing I want to do is jump into the training portion of the advanced class and train with everybody. I'm tired. I want to go home. But you have to keep it up. You have to keep it up somehow. And for me, what the biggest motivating factor has been teaching. Huddleston was really good about telling me, it's like one of the hardest things for you when you run your school is going to be continuing your own journey, but you have to, because if you don't continue to get better, then there's going to be this natural plateau that your students reach. Like they're never going to get better than a certain level because you're not getting better. And when I think, and that's what keeps me going sometimes at the end of the day, where it's like, this isn't just for me. Like it's important for me so I don't burn out on all this. But this is nested inside something bigger than myself, which is, man, this is about the community. This is about the students. Like I have to keep growing so this place can keep growing.
It's so important. It's so important. Look, it's this, and just so you are aware, I know you are already, it doesn't end because I have to keep growing too.
Right.
Like I am a black belt, and I've been a black belt since 2006. I've been a black belt for 16 years now almost. And yep.
It doesn't stop.
I have sights. I learn. I got to get better. The students have to be better, right? Like we have to be part of the evolution of jiu-jitsu, not the de-evolution, if that's a word, or I don't even know if that's a word, right? You can't de-evolve. Can you dis-evolve?
You can't be stagnant.
Right. But stagnant is death. Right? Stagnant is death. You're going to die out. If you're not evolving, you're dying, and exactly. That's all that's happening. So we have to be part of that. So if you think that's going to end, it's not. And I just want to end with one more story from ours so that everyone can know. You know the story. It's the same story when I called you unathletic. From the Corey trip. I was super proud of you that day when we trained, you know,
Thanks.
because we were training, you know, and you, and like, you know, like, and I was not going light on you, you know, and then your second round was with Dave Zabriskie, and Dave Zabriskie is a 210, 220 pound D1 national champion wrestler that's in shape and strong and super fit and in his 20s. You are in your mid 30s, you know, and not a black belt and smaller than him. And it's not that you beat him up. It's that when he was brooding you around, there was no quitting you. He never finished you with some dumb bullshit, you know, that wrestlers try to finish people with, that the weak-minded sometimes can get finished with from taking a beating, you know. That was very proud of you that day. I was super stoked because like you just, and then at the end you were winning. It was the example of jiu-jitsu, right? Because jiu-jitsu isn't about beating someone up, right? It's about being there still. It's about the survival. And I can remember as soon as that training ended, I walked out into the hallway, I called Mike, and I was like, yo, he can have a school. Because I wasn't, I wasn't sure. You know, I was sure that you could like do the one end of it, you know?
Yeah.
But like the other end, like, man, like, can you, like, there still is part of that in me, that old school, yo, when you step up to the plate here, when somebody walks in, you got to be able to fuck them up. And you might have to take it for a while so that you can then give it. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. So.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I'm very proud of you.
You've been instrumental in my mental toughness development. That's for sure. So
I could
really
have done it in a more skillful way, probably, but I'll know better the next time.
Yeah, but I'll always appreciate the way that you did do it.
So, all right, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
Thanks a lot. Go help Huddleston. We'll go sit in the background of Zoom.
Yep, that's what it is now.
All right, man.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Later, bro.